So I suppose you are wondering why we are looking at two varying pictures from two different timepieces. Timepieces, it sounds so old school and old fashioned. But in any case, you guys can believe me or not believe me, but I know most of you who watch my channel take my word for things, and that's all I can give you in this instance. This picture was taken, as you can see, Tuesday, July 24th on the top portion of the photo. The time is 9:05 a.m. and the other picture was taken at exactly the same time. That is taken at 9:32 a.m. Well, it's taken at exactly the same time, but the clock says 9:32 a.m. So that's the first one. And as you can see, I did my math before doing this video, and it's a 27-minute difference. And then this picture was taken today. The one on the top is my cell phone, 9:12 a.m. and then 9:43 a.m. is what it says on my clock at the same time. That's a 31-minute difference. That's the difference between yesterday and today, and I'm going to get into that story of how this happened in a couple seconds. Well, to you it'll be no seconds because I'm gonna put the video on pause. And now we're back, and I'm just gonna sit out looking at nature because it is so beautiful. And it is hotter than the devil's asshole out here. But in any case, that's my phrase I made up. Hotter than the devil's asshole. But I wanted to tell you that story because on Sunday, by accident, I unplugged my clock. And I plugged my clock. I plugged my clock in again. And I reset it, and I was lazy. I was like, oh, I'll just set it on the hour. I know it's about 2 or 3 minutes ahead of my cell phone, but who cares? So I plugged it back in. It was 2 or 3 minutes ahead of my cell phone. I figured it would get my butt out of bed and get my ass out and up and early to work in the morning, since I have such a problem with it of late. And I forgot about it. And then a few days later, I noticed that my clock was 5 minutes faster than my phone, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I miscalculated. No big whoop, or maybe it was just on the cusp when I reset it and I miscalculated it. So then a few days later, I noticed that my clock was about 10 minutes faster than my phone. And then a day later than that, I noticed it was 22 minutes faster than my phone. And then the next day, it was 27 minutes faster than my phone. And then today, it was 31 minutes faster than my phone. And something is wonky with time because I've never had problems with that clock. That clock has always kept time perfectly fine. And so my conclusion was that my cell phone is keeping perfect time and basically on the right time frame because it is linked to the World Wide Web, and the World Wide Web is right now holding time in place. That's just the theory I have. I don't know if it's true, but I find it to be a fascinating one. And I talked with Scarab last night on the phone, and I mentioned this phenomenon to him, and he goes, oh my God, I think something's been wonky and weird with time for quite some time now. And he goes, I have a clock, and I'm gonna set it for the correct time now. I'm telling you, it's always going forward 2 hours. I cannot keep it at the correct time. And nothing is malfunctioning with my clock. I don't know about his, but I'm assuming his is not malfunctioning either. And it's just the weirdest thing. I mean, either that or my dumbass clock is about to go on the fritz, but I don't think that's the case. And usually when your clock's about to go on the fritz, it gets slower, I think. So that's really weird. And I also wanted to mention that we're coming up on July 27th, which is supposed to be an eclipse and I think a full moon, and all kinds of things are going on and meeting in the sky. A lot of people and energy readers are saying that it's supposed to be the point where time as we know it changes. In other words, linear time as we know it changes, and we sort of will all be experiencing our past and our future and varying timelines all at the same time. So some of them called it the end of the world as we know it, but not in such a catastrophic way, knock on wood, who knows. Somebody said, and they also said it's where the 3D and the 5D meet, 3 dimension and 5th dimension. So I thought that was really, really interesting. I don't know, I feel like anything that's linked to the World Wide Web is being anchored. Look at your clocks, guys. I want to know if you've been having any weird experiences with clocks and watches that are not attached to the World Wide Web and if they're doing anything really strangely. I also wanted to introduce you to another YouTube channel. His name's David. He's my friend David, and he is an astrologer. Some of you I know don't believe that, but in his words, and he knows, I mean, he's been accused of doing the work of the devil, but in his words, he's like, some people live their life by a book, other people follow the stars. As far as I can tell, the stars in the heavens, I've been reading the Bible, and I read Genesis very recently again. This is my second time reading Genesis. And God created the celestial bodies. He created the heavens. He created the earth. So I honestly wouldn't see what's so satanic about that. Of course, then I have another thought tangent, which I'm not going to get into on this video. But I just think it's fascinating. He also said something like, oh, you know, people love to judge other people, especially in the New Agey spirituality, in this New Age sort of New Age spiritual, what am I trying to say? This New Age spiritual zeitgeist we all live in now, like, oh, well, my life is going smoothly, so that means I'm more spiritually evolved than you because I'm thinking the right thoughts, blah, 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 blah. And that actually concerns me, that we're a little more worried about our thoughts than what's going on in our hearts. What's in our hearts, not what's in our heads. So, and I've got a whole sort of argument against that too, because think about how many times you dreaded going to that party, or you dreaded doing something, or you thought something was going to be really great, and the thing you dreaded ended up being way better than you ever thought it could be, and the thing that you thought was going to be so great ended up disappointing you. So that's another reason I just cannot believe in the law of attraction. And just because you're being a positive person doesn't mean you're a douchebag. I mean, you can be totally positive about your life and yourself and think you're so great and use it against other people and blame the victim if something bad happens to them, and then it doesn't mean you're a good person. But in any case, he basically said, you don't know what's going on in that person's astrological chart. You don't know anything. And honestly, as an astrologer, he really believes that the alignments of the planets and the stars truly do affect your life. Now, I have another take on that too, because I tend to believe that a lot of us construct our lives and our challenges before we come here. So if somebody's having a bad spurt of things, it's not your position to judge them. It's your position to just say, hey, this is the challenge you signed up for, and I'm going to support you through it. Unless they're being a douchebag to you, and then you might just want to back off and worry about your own stuff. But regardless, unless you really, really love them, and of course you want to love them unconditionally. But, I mean, we should all love each other unconditionally, but we shouldn't take abuse from another person. Okay, now I'm going off on another tangent, but regardless, I'm going to go in and I'm going to give you the link to my friend David's. He's called the Leo King, and he does these really like just raw, in-depth videos. For the most part, he's fairly optimistic, but he can get pretty raw and real about things and about how he's feeling and about the heaviness of certain things. And I like when his wife chimes in too. She's got some pretty good insights too. So sometimes she's along for the ride. And I'll just provide the link in the description section. Okay, so this is my friend David's. This is one of his latest videos that he did, and it was really, really, I thought, probing. And so it's the Leo King. He's got a lot of stuff going on. It's so funny because I met him like about in 2010 at this film unveiling party, and I had just seen him on this show called True Beauty. It was this reality show, and so we talked about that, and then he kind of like did a few predictions for me, which is pretty funny. I'm a Pisces. That's another thing I like about David. He loves Pisces, even though I don't think Leos and Pisces are supposed to get along that well. But he loves Pisces. He's like, oh, Pisces are so cool. They're just so laid back. They go with the flow, and they're just so gentle and loving and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking on my sign because I'm not perfect, and I'm not perfectly all those things all the time either, but I certainly try to be. But regardless, this is his website and his most recent video. His wife does make a bit of a cameo in there. She's kind of funny. But anyway, this is his video, and I will link his channel in the description section. All right, that's about it. Talk to you later. Bye.